The year is 1941. The world is at war. From the scorching deserts of North Africa to the frozen tundras of Russia and the steamy jungles of the Pacific, a new kind of conflict is being fought. A war of unprecedented scale and brutality. And in this war, survival isn't just about courage and firepower. It's about ingenuity. It's about protection. It's about the humble yet extraordinary structures that shielded soldiers from the deadliest threats, the bunkers. We often think of bunkers as massive, impenetrable fortresses carved out of rock or reinforced concrete, and some certainly were. But the true unsung heroes of wartime engineering were often far simpler, far more adaptable, and astonishingly resilient. These were the structures that faced the impossible, relentless artillery barrages, aerial bombs, and the unforgiving elements of a planet gripped by conflict. Early in the war, improvisation was key. Soldiers used whatever they could find, sandbags, logs, even earth itself. But these initial attempts, while providing some cover, were often flimsy, easily collapsing under sustained attack. Casualties mounted not just from enemy fire, but from the very structures meant to protect them. The need for something better, something truly resilient, became desperately clear. This is where the engineers stepped in, the unsung heroes behind the front lines. Men and women tasked with a monumental challenge. How do you build something nearly indestructible, quickly, in any environment, under immense pressure? Their solutions were born of necessity, fueled by scientific principles and forged in the crucible of war. They studied ballistics, material science, and construction techniques, pushing the boundaries of what was thought possible. Let's delve into the secrets of their success, the hidden ingenuity that transformed basic shelters into bastions of defense. One of the most fundamental principles employed by engineers was the strategic use of Earth itself. It might seem counterintuitive. How can soft soil protect against an explosion? But the answer lies in its ability to absorb and dissipate energy. A direct hit on a rigid concrete wall creates immense shockwaves that travel through the material, causing spalling and structural failure. But a layer of compacted earth, especially a thick berm, acts like a giant shock absorber. The explosive force is spread out, the energy absorbed as the soil shifts and displaces. This is why many bunkers, even those made of concrete, were often buried or surrounded by massive earthen embankments. Consider the ubiquitous sandbag, simple yet incredibly effective. Filled with earth, these humble bags could be stacked to create surprisingly resilient defenses. The loose grains of sand and soil allowed for controlled deformation, preventing catastrophic structural collapse. They were quick to deploy, easily repaired, and incredibly versatile. But engineers didn't stop at simple earthworks. They integrated earth into their most robust designs. A common technique was to construct a reinforced concrete shell, then cover it with several meters of compacted earth and rock. This multi-layered approach offered a significant advantage. The earth absorbed the initial blast, scattering shrapnel and reducing the force reaching the concrete. The concrete then provided the ultimate structural integrity, preventing penetration. This sandwich approach wasn't just about blast absorption. It also offered excellent protection against direct penetration from bombs and artillery shells. The earth would cause the projectile to detonate prematurely, often before it even reached the concrete, further diminishing its destructive power. The engineers understood that an enemy would try to dig or bore through these defenses, so they often added further layers of protection, like steel mesh or even loose rock, within the earthen layers to prevent easy tunneling, or to prematurely detonate projectiles designed to penetrate deep before exploding.
While Earth was an invaluable ally,
The core strength of many WW2 bunkers lay in the combination of concrete and steel, materials that had revolutionized construction in the decades leading up to the war. Concrete, specifically reinforced concrete, was the material of choice for its compressive strength. It could withstand immense crushing forces. But concrete alone is brittle under tension. It cracks and spalls when bent or pulled. This is where steel came in. Steel reinforcing bars, or rebar, embedded within the concrete, provided tensile strength. When an explosive force hit a reinforced concrete wall, the rebar held the concrete together, preventing it from shattering catastrophically. It allowed the structure to deform slightly, absorbing energy rather than crumbling. The design of these concrete and steel bunkers was meticulously calculated. Thickness wasn't just arbitrary. It was based on projected enemy ordnance. Engineers studied the penetrating power of various artillery shells, bombs, and even tank rounds. They then designed walls and roofs that could withstand the impact, often using multiple layers of varying densities. For instance, a common defensive structure might have walls several feet thick, often tapering outwards at the base for added stability. The roofs were often even thicker, designed to withstand direct bomb hits. These weren't just simple boxes, they were carefully engineered geometric forms, optimized for deflecting and resisting force. The shape of a bunker also played a crucial role. Engineers avoided flat, vertical surfaces that offered a perfect target for direct hits. Instead, they favored sloped, angled, or even curved designs. A sloped surface could deflect an incoming shell, causing it to ricochet or strike at a less damaging angle. A curved surface, like those found in the iconic dragon's teeth or some pillbox designs, distributed impact forces more evenly, reducing localized stress. Furthermore, the entry and exit points of these bunkers were often the most vulnerable. Engineers developed ingenious solutions to protect these vital access points. Thick, blast-resistant steel doors, often recessed or protected by additional concrete baffles, were standard. Entrances were rarely direct. Instead, they often featured zigzagging corridors or staggered blast walls, designed to absorb and redirect the force of an explosion before it could reach the interior. Ventilation shafts, vital for air circulation and preventing asphyxiation, were also vulnerabilities. These were often designed with multiple bends and indirect routes, sometimes even incorporating specialized blast valves that would automatically close under pressure from an explosion. Building a massive, custom-designed concrete fortress for every strategic point was simply not feasible in the rapid, shifting landscape of WW2. Engineers also had to develop solutions that were quick to construct, adaptable to diverse environments, and easily transportable. This is where prefabrication and standardized designs became critical. One of the most iconic and successful examples of this ingenuity was the Quonset hut. Originally developed by the U.S. Navy, these semi-cylindrical structures were a marvel of wartime engineering. They weren't exactly bunkers in the traditional sense, but their principles of rapid construction and resilience applied to various frontline needs, from barracks to storage, and even makeshift hospitals. The Quonset hut's design was brilliant in its simplicity. It consisted of a lightweight arched steel frame covered with corrugated galvanized steel sheets. Crucially, all parts were prefabricated and could be shipped anywhere in the world, then assembled by a small crew with basic tools in a matter of days.
While not intended to withstand direct artillery hits, the curved design offered surprising resilience against blast waves and wind. The continuous arch distributed forces evenly, making it resistant to collapse under heavy snow loads or high winds, a vital feature in diverse climates. For more direct protection, Quonset huts could be modified. Soldiers often piled sandbags around the base, or even dug them partially into the earth, increasing their resistance to shrapnel and smaller explosions. Their internal layout was also flexible, allowing for various uses and easy modifications. Beyond Quonset huts, engineers developed modular concrete sections that could be rapidly transported and assembled to create more robust defensive positions. These precast elements eliminated the need for on-site concrete pouring, significantly speeding up construction, especially in contested areas. The ability to construct defenses quickly and efficiently was often the difference between holding a position and losing it. Engineers had to balance strength with speed, robustness with logistical feasibility.
Bunkers weren't just fighting bombs and bullets. They were fighting nature itself. The extreme environments of World War II presented unique engineering challenges. In the scorching heat and oppressive humidity of the Pacific jungles, engineers faced a different kind of enemy. Steel corroded rapidly, wood rotted, and insects devoured everything. Concrete bunkers, while strong, could become oppressive ovens without proper ventilation. To combat the heat, bunkers were often designed with multiple ventilation shafts, strategically placed to create a crossbreeze. Sometimes they even incorporated simple wind-catching devices, similar to traditional Middle Eastern wind towers, to funnel cooler air inside. Insulation, often improvised from local materials, was also used to mitigate temperature extremes. Water was another constant threat. Heavy rains could lead to flooding, undermining foundations and creating damp, unhealthy living conditions. Engineers designed elaborate drainage systems, often incorporating French drains or elevated foundations to keep water out. Waterproofing materials, though primitive by today's standards, were also crucial. In the frozen landscapes of Europe and the Soviet Union, engineers faced the opposite problem: extreme cold and permafrost. Building foundations in frozen ground required different techniques. Sometimes foundations had to be dug deep below the frost line, or special insulating layers were used to prevent the ground from thawing and shifting. Insulation became paramount. Double walls, packed with straw, sawdust, or even snow itself, were used to create thermal barriers. Heating systems, often simple wood-burning stoves, were carefully integrated with chimneys designed to minimize heat loss and avoid detection by the enemy. The psychological impact of these extreme conditions on soldiers was immense. A well-designed bunker wasn't just about physical protection, it was about providing a modicum of comfort and psychological respite, a brief escape from the brutal realities of war. Even the most indestructible bunker is useless if the enemy knows exactly where it is. Therefore, deception and disguise were integral parts of bunker design and deployment. Engineers worked closely with camouflage experts to integrate bunkers seamlessly into the surrounding terrain. This wasn't just about painting them green or brown. It involved using natural materials, branches, netting, local vegetation to break up outlines and blend the structures into the environment. Sometimes bunkers were intentionally designed to resemble innocent structures, farmhouses, sheds, or even natural rock formations. This elaborate deception could mislead enemy reconnaissance and delay discovery, buying precious time. Even the waste from construction had to be carefully managed to avoid detection. Excess earth was often dispersed or cleverly integrated into the surrounding landscape to avoid telltale piles that would signal construction activity.
False targets and decoy bunkers were also used. These, often less robust structures, were built to draw enemy fire, diverting attention and ordnance away from the real, strategically important fortifications. This was a deadly game of cat and mouse, where engineering prowess met tactical cunning. The placement of bunkers was also key. They were positioned to provide overlapping fields of fire, creating mutually supporting defensive networks. Engineers painstakingly calculated angles of fire, blind spots, and interlocking arcs to maximize their effectiveness.
The war ended, but the lessons learned from building these nearly indestructible bunkers did not. The ingenuity and principles developed under the crucible of WWII had a lasting impact on engineering and construction. The advancements in reinforced concrete, the understanding of blast dynamics, the importance of modular construction, and the principles of passive defense all found their way into civilian applications. From earthquake-resistant buildings to modern underground infrastructure, the ghost of the WWII bunker can be seen. Today's secure government facilities, data centers, and even commercial buildings often incorporate design elements directly descended from wartime bunker engineering. Multi-layered walls, blast-resistant doors, redundant ventilation systems, these are all testament to the enduring legacy of those wartime innovations. The speed and efficiency of modular construction, pioneered for structures like the Quonset hut, evolved into today's prefabricated housing and rapid deployment shelters for disaster relief. And the lessons in camouflage and concealment continue to inform military engineering, but also inspire architectural designs that blend harmoniously with their environment. These engineers, often nameless, working under impossible conditions, left behind a legacy far beyond the battlefield. They didn't just build bunkers. They built a foundation of knowledge and innovation that continues to protect and serve us today. The next time you see a seemingly simple concrete structure or marvel at a building's resilience, remember the ingenious minds who, in the darkest hours of human history, taught us how to build almost indestructibly. They engineered not just protection, but a lasting testament to human ingenuity in the face of adversity.
And that brings us to the end of today's video. If you enjoyed what you saw or learned something new, I'd be incredibly grateful if you'd consider hitting that like button. It really helps the channel out. Also, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future content. Most importantly, I'd love to hear from you. What did you think of today's topic? Do you have any thoughts or experiences to share? Drop a comment below. I read every single one, and your insights truly make this community special. Thank you so much for spending your valuable time with me today. It means the world. Until next time.